everybody. Big crowd. I really appreciate all you guys coming out. Also on the board of directors. I got on about a year ago. I'm proudly serving and really realized that there's a lot of really good things happening in Rockwall, especially with our 250th celebration coming up. So I would like for you guys to spread the word about the lectures. You don't have to be a member to come. Of course, we like everybody in here to be a member. If you're not a member, we ask you to join us for our cause. We're not trying to change Rockwall, we're just trying to preserve things and remember what it used to be. If you are a member and haven't made your donation for your dues this year, I encourage you to do that now. I know I look a little bit clowny today, but everything's got a story. I'd like to welcome everybody and thank y'all for coming. And I'd like to introduce my family members that are here. My wife, Rebecca, please stand. My sister-in-law, Lynn. My son, Clay. You can't forget about my little sister, Debbie. Okay, we'll start with the jacket.
Would you button it up for us?
Make sure it fits.
Dwayne. You know it won't button. I know it won't button. Richard Slaughter, the only one in here that can wear it and button. Anyway, I went to the closet and got this jacket out and thought, well, I'll try and see if I can put it on. Well, as you can see, I can't put it on. So I wore it today so that all of y'all would know I could put it on. There you go. I'm sure everybody's wondering what this thing is hanging off my britches. That squirrel's tail. We'll get back to that later. These hats were a very popular style in the 60s, and they still are today. Girls wore them, mostly men, but we had a slang word name for them around here. What was it called, Richard? Come on. Debbie?
The lid.
It's a lid. Goes on top of a jar, on top of your head. There you go. I got these shoes here at the garage sale about 40 years ago. I got teased about them several times because everybody said they were bowling shoes. They are not bowling shoes. I'll tell you how I got them there. That's probably my phone. 1960s was a very dominant and ever-changing decade for America and for Rockwall. As you know, in 1963, we had the presidential assassination, and in 64 and 65, we went through segregation and desegregation. Then we had a Vietnam War that was a very unpopular war in the late 60s also. And of course, Rockwall, 1963 was a big year because that's when we went to state championship. I'm going to call this part of my speech the Rockwall Community of Twos. First off, the name, Rockwall, 2 words. We had a lot of 2-lane roads. We had 2 red lights, or traffic lights, I guess you'd say. 2 policemen, Frank Springer and J.W. Collins. 2 state troopers, J.M. Watts, Jack Ritchie. Downtown Rockwall had 2 barbershops, Shorty Rogers and James Mayo. They had 2 beauty shops. The Daniel Beauty Shop was behind the drugstore, And there was another beauty shop that was behind the bank, a little small door. I don't recall whose that was. And I think Mildred Barnes also started a beauty shop in the old gas station at Ted King's on the corner sometime later in that decade. We had two eating places in downtown, the Corner Cafe and the Mecca Cafe. The Corner Cafe, great hamburger baskets, and they had a pinball machine. So all the kids would walk from school to lunch up there and have a lunch for $1. The Mecca Cafe, I always thought was famous for what they call the open-faced steak sandwich. It was 2 pieces of Texas toast on a platter, not a plate, but a platter. 2 pieces of Texas toast or light bread with a big steak on top of it, smothered in gravy and french fries decorated all around it. It was really great. Later in the decade, the Yellow Jacket Grill came to pass. But I believe the Mecca or the Corner had closed by then, so we still were left with 2. But there was a lot of good barbecue there at the Yellow Jacket. Community in general, we had 2 drive-up eating places. The Dairy Queen, you could get your steak finger basket, or the famous Frosty Shop where you could get malts and shakes and ice cream. We had 2 doctors, Sherman Sparks and Dr. Strobel. We had 2 funeral homes, the Williams Funeral Home and Lions Ray. We had 2 florists, the Rockwall florist with Fairleigh Hale, and there was another florist down on the corner of Stores and Clark Street, but I don't know who owned it. Y'all can help me out with that later. The businesses, a lot of them were family owned and run by 2. Payne Furniture was run by Darlene. Darlene? Y'all? Would y'all rather me tell it, or would y'all want to step up, because there's some people in here that might want to say about their own. Anyway, I'll do talking. That was run by J.D. and Fairleigh. The drugstore was run by Earl Nelson Slaughter. The Rockwall Success, P.J. and Jane Bounds. Shields & Co., Joe and Mike. Vault Saddle Shop, George and Bob. Daniel's Beauty Salon, James and Jackie. Corner Cafe, Thomas and Virginia Phillips. The Yellow Jacket Grill, the Behringers, husband and wife team. The Mecca Cafe, the Dillards, husband and wife team. The Frosty Shop, Sam and Cap Hall. So we had a lot of 2s in our city. Selling Coke bottles for 2 cents a piece at M&R was also there, so that's 2. Okay, this is my I remember items. First off, cigarette machines. You could put money in a cigarette machine and pull a latch, so you didn't have to be 21 or 18. We had home milk deliveries. You see over here, I have a bottle here that probably was delivered to somebody's house that I found somewhere down the line, but had home milk deliveries. We used to burn trash in barrels in the backyards. And the Spafford property up here on 205 behind the Spafford house was full of animal bones. Homecoming parades and pep rallies and bonfires. The bonfires were usually held at the old high school down here on the end of Rush Street. It's not there anymore. But it was comprised of the boys and the girls would go out and get tree limbs, old wood, pallets, and couldn't forget rubber tires, and so forth. And there was always an effigy of the opponent stuffed and hanging from a 2x4 on the very top of it, which would have been the last part to burn. I remember a 2-wheel trailer sitting on top of the locker room down there. And an outdoor toilet in the front yard of the high school. All put there by opponents that didn't like Rockwall, I guess. And I remember the old fire escape at the high school, where everybody liked to slide down it, but Principal McKay thought you'd be in big trouble. I remember the splash day with swimming contest, diving contest, beauty contest. And we also had 2 diving boards. I remember tent roller skating rinks, traveling carnivals. Those are all things we did in the summertime around here. And I also remember something else that y'all can help me with. In addition to our 2 policemen, they basically worked during the days and stuff. We had a night watchman. They carried around a black bag that had a chain attached to it with a key. And there were several black boxes bolted on the walls or whatever around town, and he would go around town with this key and turn this key in this box, and evidently it would send a message that whatever he had in that bag that made it good. Does anybody know who that would be? Brett, you got a clue?
Kimball? Was it Mr. Kimball?
Mike, would it have been some of your kinfolks? Would George have been there? George? Oh, well, we'll research that and maybe we'll have some input on that on the next one.
Grady Cap was a night watchman here at Rockwall.
Who's that?
Grady Cap
Grady
was
Cap.
married to one of my aunts back in those days. Jerry Cap's father when they moved out to Rockwall in the 60s.
Okay, we got a lot of landmarks throughout the county. I'll start with the Cullen store down in Heath. They were famous for, had a little deli in there where you could go in and get a bologna and cheese sandwich, lettuce, tomato, onion, pickle, and pepper, and get you a bag of chips and a big red soda and go for lunch for a little over $1. Everybody remembers Chet Laughlin's store and bait shop and calendar display. The boys always loved to go in there and buy the minutes because they could stare at all the Marilyn Monroe calendars plastered around the ceiling. Mother didn't like for me to buy my minutes there. We also had a store and bake shop at Highway 205 and 549 north of town, where the 7-Eleven is now. But you could stop there and get minutes on the way to Levon, 3 dozen for $1. Crawford's gas station. It's on 66 around the corner here where Tropical John's was for a long time, right next to the Wade's Landing restaurant. Did anybody know what his real name was?
Rooster.
I've been told by Miss Sticker it was B.F. Crawford, but everybody called him Rooster. I remember the McClendon store. They had a iron screen door and a round Coke box inside. I know everybody's familiar with the Coke boxes we used to see at M&R, where you just open it up, reach in and grab one, but this was a round one, and you had to put a nickel or a dime in the slot and turn it to where you could get the bottle out. There was the Rack and Sack store also down below Heath, almost to Forney. Big 2-story house, people lived upstairs and had a store downstairs. They had several old pictures of Rockwall and history around Rockwall County. I always remember that as a child. I remember Falls Ice House down here on the corner that used to haul in 300-pound blocks and they'd chop them up in a little chopper and a lot of times there'd be a lot of spoilage on the ground, you could get you a quick handful of crushed ice. Then the Texas Aluminum Company was the big industry here. A lot of people had jobs here with the Texas Aluminum Company. Okay, now, let's talk about that drawing you'll have. I don't have the name of the beauty shop behind the bank. So, if we don't figure that out today, maybe somebody will come back next month, or maybe all of you will come back next month and we'll find that out. I don't know what was in Jacob's Cleaner's place after they moved. Does anybody know what that was? Right by the drugstore, Richard. Well, I stumped the audience today. Okay. I know somebody will know this one. But on that drawing, there's a circle by the police station. Y'all know what that is? Say again?
It's the city water company.
It's the water tower. That's where the water tower was.
They had an office there.
Now, there's a square on the Exxon station. Anybody know what that was? Nobody knows. Mike Shields not here to answer. It's a phone booth. And for you young people that don't know what a phone booth was, it's a rectangular glass box with a sliding door with a phone in it. So if you were late for being outside or hanging around, driving up and down the street, and your mother was going to get you in trouble, you could always go in there with a dime. You had a quarter slot and a nickel slot and a dime slot. Put a dime in there and you call mom and say, I'm going to be about 30 minutes late. Rockwall had another phone booth in downtown Rockwall. Anybody know where that was? Okay, they had three then. That blew my tooth thing. So there was one in the downtown, downstairs, a glass booth? Okay, very good. Okay. Well, there was another one, outdoors, okay, how's that? It had two outdoors on the booth. You know where it was, Clay? You don't know? You been in it?
Oh, over by the drop-in
Yeah.
food mart right there?
Yeah, over by the drop-in, a Snappy Jack, whatever you want to call it. There was a phone booth right there on the corner of Washington and Fannin. So downtown Rockwall had two outdoor phone booths and at least one indoor phone booth. I brought some memorabilia with me today. I guess I'll talk loud. I bought a little of my artwork from junior high that I made at home, showing you the kind of letters and stuff we made in that psychedelic stepdaddy. My mother never threw any of our toys out, so we have Lincoln Logs and Tinker Toys and the original Lego called Block City. Got this at the state fair, glass blowers. Like I said before, milk was delivered in bottles. I have the original city putty. Everybody knows what that was. We wore shades similar to this, boys or girls. Have a Texas aluminum ashtray, various glass bottles. I got a plastic football here from Grandma's Fried Chicken. Y'all remember where that was, right? I have these things here that we used to shoot with our BB gun and hope we didn't get caught breaking them because they used to, anybody know?
It's his brother.
Yeah, okay. For you younger people that don't know, we had a wooden telephone pole with a wooden cross tie. And it had the pegs on the top of it, and these things would stick down on that peg and the wire would go around it. Nobody uses these anymore. But it was a what? Next, we have the 1960s version of the porta potty. Male and female version. They were always very good to have when you're going on a drive-in movie or a long vacation in between gas stations. And I'm sure nobody in here probably has one of these in their refrigerator, but I'll bet you somebody's grandmother or mother had it in their refrigerator. It's an old glass bottle that said juice on one side of it and water on the other, so I guess you could use it for juice or water. Boy, I talk too fast. Okay. Talked about the shoes. Best pair of shoes I ever bought at a garage sale. Had them about 40 years, still got the original shoestrings in them. What did I pay for them? $2. I guess everybody wants to know about this little trick, okay? Alright. Mike, you'll get a kick, you know I get a kick out of there. 1963, 10 years old. My Uncle Dwight, who was 9 years older than me, took me squirrel hunting up at the farm in Little City. And I killed my first squirrel, 10 years old, with my little 22 single shot rifle. So we took it back to Granny's and Dwight skinned it and my grandmother cooked it, but I saved the tail for a good luck charm. Well, this is 1963 and the football team was trying to do really good and everything. Lake Islands came to town during the season. They beat us, I think, 28-12 or 28-14, something like that. Later in the year, we got a chance to play them again. And that's when I brought my squirrel tail out and brought it to the game. I wore it to the game on a string just like this. 10 years old, okay? So, the bi-district game, I think, was played at Rockwall, but I'm not positive. It was not. Darling, okay. All right. Anyway, we beat them 40-0. And I got to go on the field with my squirrel's tail. And I went up to Kenny Terry and I said, wow, man, you know, he's like my idol, so to speak, because he was the quarterback, the leader of the team, whatever. And he said, what is that on your leg? I said, that's my good luck charm. He said, keep wearing it. Okay, so next game. I'm going to go through all these games since we got plenty of time, because I won't go in and just help me out a little bit on this. Okay, we played Lake Highlands and Garden. Then we went to Jacksboro, Wichita Falls. We beat them 26-6. Then we went to Paul Pewitt. I don't know where though. Commerce. Beat them 22-6.
Something about that game,
Yeah, go ahead.
Randy Sparks was one of the stars on the football team, and he had turned his car over on Airport Road the day before the game, and Dr. Sparks shot him up with some good, feeling good stuff, and he was able to play in that game, and that's one of the reasons for winning.
There you go. There you go. Good old Dr. Sparks. Now, all these games, after the game, I would run on to the field. Because I'd walk, I'd play out football out in the front yard and walk like Jackie Anderson, throw a ball like Kenny or get down, get tough like Woody. You know, so I went out there every time, and every time I had this squirrel stuff. My mother kept saying, "That thing is stiff as a board. Don't wear that thing anymore." I said, "No, I gotta keep wearing it." So, forward to Vernon, and then, you know, if y'all remember Vernon, it was a mud bowl, and we were beating them so bad there that they actually let Woody Barnes run fullback at the end of the game, about 3 or 4 plays. So after that game, I run out there on the field in the mud and got in trouble with mother for doing that, but still had my twirl stuff. So next week we went to Waco, played Dulles. And you all know how that game turned out. But as the heroics and the victory at the very end, what else? Me, half the stands were out there on the field. And I couldn't find anybody I wanted to talk to. So finally, I located Woody Barnes. I asked him for his chin strap. He said, "Sure, kid." Like that. Then, I was looking for Kenny Terry. I finally found Kenny Terry. And I said, "Can I have your chin strap? Great game," something like that, you know. "Can I have your chin strap?" He said, "Yeah, I guess so." I said, "I brought my good luck charm." And I reached down to get it, and it wasn't there. I left it on the field somewhere in Waco. I tried to, actually. But that was the story about the squirrel tail. I thank y'all all for coming. I know there's a lot of graduates here from Rockwall. I know there's a lot of people that didn't graduate from Rockwall, but we're glad to have you here. You're also part of this community. I'd like for the class of 71 to stand up. I can't hear you.
Who's a graduate of Rockwall?
Oh, yeah. Anybody that graduated from Rockwall, could I get y'all to stand up or no? Okay, because okay. What I'm going to do is, okay. Look at all the Rockwall graduates, okay? Now. Okay. Y'all sitting down already, man. Okay, now, don't sit down yet. Now. You can remain standing if you studied here and went to school here for 12 years. All 12 grades. You've got a good group. Okay. Thank y'all very much. Let's talk about the drawing a little bit, okay? Anybody got any corrections for me?
I do.
Okay.
At the bottom of Russ Street, before Clark, is now Rockwall Community Playhouse. See that on here as the Assembly of God Church?
Well, I just did downtown.
I don't care. That's our.
That's right.
So, what do you got, Joy?
I don't have a correction, but you left out a huge part of your life.
Well, you weren't here last time. I couldn't repeat everything I said last time.
Your mowing business.
I went through that. You have to come back when I do part 3.
Oh, my God.
Was her, you were an entrepreneur as a young boy.
I was.
14 years old.
Yes, John.
He didn't put the water tower on
Yes, sir.
I have some questions not about the map.
Uh-oh.
How much were cigarettes in on that machine?
I don't know, I'm gonna guess 35 cents. I'm gonna guess 35 cents.
They were 50 cents, I know.
She's younger than us. They were 35 when I was growing up, they're 50 when she came.
Why is there an 84 on your leather jacket?
That was my football number of my senior year. I was 21 in the 7th grade, and then I'm 84 in the senior.
Did Rockwall do well after you lost your squirrel tail?
That was the last game, we won the championship, so the squirrel tail committed itself to good luck. We were done.
You never came back?
No. Yes, somebody else. Yes, ma'am.
By the first bank,
Yes, ma'am.
next to that was, Andrew's Hardware.
Yes. Andrew.
Where I said goods,
Yeah.
I got goods, that's Andrew's Hardware.
Andrew and Martin's Hardware.
Okay.
Smith, Leon Smith.
Yeah. He was dry goods, yeah. Anybody remember, Spafford's Meat Market?
Yes.
With a corral out back, you know, and people would come by and drop off their animals and they butcher them and then they take the bones down here on 205, which is now Harris Heights. I used to, when Mother was working for the Texas Aluminum Company or Ralph Hall, I would stay at basically on the daycare center we had in town, which was Margie's Film. And she lived on Joe White Street. Behind Joe White Street was the Spafford property. So we used to all go down there and run around and find bones and stuff, horn, and stuff like that. And we just can't do anything like that anymore. One thing, you got a neighborhood built on this one. Does anybody remember who owned the variety store? I don't know who it was, but I know they had a big gray Weimaraner dog.
Rugio.
Prior to that, the Atkins family,
Thank you, Fred.
My dad had the variety store there too, at one time before the Rugios.
That's what I thought. Was that 50s or 60s?
50s for sure.
I thought I remember Ted having a variety store there. What was the name of that? Spell it for me, Dwayne.
I just remember variety store.
No, people. You said
Rugio.
Rugio.
Remember this, the R&R variety store.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Always called it Rough and Ready.
Yeah.
R&R. It's Santa Barbara Christmas dolls. Western is
Wayne Rogers, that's right. Clutch Motor Company.
Your third generation of all Rockwall graduates.
My grandson Matthew, thank you for coming.
Good luck.
Yes, sir.
I think on the, store next to the, drugstore was a Merle Norman.
After Jacobs moved, it became Merle Norman? Okay.
I just thought of the jeweler who was by Jacobs.
Bill Walls. Bill Walls.
Bill Walls.
They're right next to Mayo Barber Shop. Which, I guess it was there, actually right in between Jacobs Fingers and, Mayo.
Where you have a department store, kind of catty corner across from Payne Furniture, that was Hermoyne's.
Yeah.
I was always
Yeah.
told that that was a bank before it was Hermoyne's.
Is that right? Didn't know that.
It had there's a safe in the back.
What?
There's a safe in the back. They used it as a freezer, cold storage. Then next door, at one time, there was a funeral home.
Yeah, William Funeral Home.
Williams, I meant Martin, that's what it was, Martin.
And between the Mecca Cafe and the corner sandwich shop was Canuck Propane.
And it's correct. I knew I had one out, because there's eight businesses on it, I only got 7 of them, so I knew that was. What, it's Canuck Propane? Why didn't you tell me that, Pat?
I missed it. Makes my brain hurt.
Well, for a guy that graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in architecture, I'm a little ashamed of this picture, I'm embarrassed by this, but I did do it in a hurry, my memory had a rough draft, so maybe I can get this with some of these changes you guys are giving to change, we can make it into a positive format. Dwayne, was there a washer, or anybody, for that matter, was there a washateria somewhere right in there by the fire station? Not down by,
I remember the one down there.
by Fannin, there was one.
That Quonset hut.
And they had a Russ,
Wasn't it?
at the corner of Russ and
Yeah.
Clark.
Yeah,
There was one there.
there's one there. I don't know, but was there one downtown, is what I'm saying? By Williams Lumber Company, right? Okay, that's what I thought, but it's kinda in there by the fire station. Yeah. I thought there was a washateria there. Huh?
The one on Clark Street was an old one. Yeah. Yeah, try.
And Joy and I talked a while ago, where you have the First State Bank, that was the Ritz Theater.
That's right. Yeah, first, but not the 60s now.
That's what I was wondering, it was gone by then.
Yeah.
And then above the other bank, there on Russ Street, was where the phone office was across
That's
from
right,
the
that's
drugstore.
right. Well, like I said, I didn't get it all. I was trying to think about it, but I did by memory only, so. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Grandma's Fried Chicken, was it always a Yellow Jacket and Goliath?
No, Grandma's Fried Chicken was out at, go ahead, yeah. But not out on the corner, but right there. It's where the flower shop is.
I've got a question for the whole group. I love the meatloaf there. Does anybody have a recipe? Anybody got the recipe for meatloaf at Grandma's Fried Chicken? Grandma's still alive?
Is that a member of the historical foundation?
She is.
I know. You have to be a member, and if you're a member, I'll get you the recipe.
There you go. That's my assistant membership person there, Darlene. Listen, I'm gonna say, once again, we've got a little time left if anybody wants to discuss something. Otherwise, I'd like to say thank y'all again for coming. I would encourage you guys to seek membership for the group. I'd also encourage you guys to spread the rumor about the lecture series.
Joy's in May.
Yes, Miss Patty.
There's gonna be a third bus tour.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I can come up with enough stuff without repeating myself. Give me a couple of years, you can bring me back.
Let me get over here real quick beside the bus tour.
There's going, how many was on the first bus tour that, there you go, that we had last Saturday? Well, the second bus tour has filled up, and there's going to be a third bus tour, that I was told this morning, that there's gonna be a third bus tour. I don't have a date on
We
it
don't have
yet.
that yet, and
Yeah.
it's in May.
So, but even, I've lived in Rockwall all my life, for those that don't know me here. it's fascinating. I loved it. And even for us people that have been here forever, things are said that are, and brought up that we just don't think about it because we're used to it. And to have it brought up and talked about refreshes your memory, and it brings back so many wonderful memories. It's really a good tour and well worth it. And maybe next time it won't be raining. So that, and then also I've got to say something, got a hot Christmas ornaments in the back again, if anybody would be interested in buying Christmas ornaments. Those are our main fundraisers. So thank you.
I'd like to thank all y'all for coming again. Thanks very much.